We will get started, so we're good to go. Awesome. So, welcome to the Poetry Jam, where words once written on a page are now performed on stage, and solidarity extends between poets and friends. Please give yourselves a round of applause for being here. My name is Pam Blair, and we are rolling around in the 10th year this year for doing poetry in the city for every month. There may be a few months where we weren't able to do it, probably because of COVID, or maybe a holiday or something like that, but consistently going on 10 years, and probably 6 of them going on here at this place. So, let's see, any newcomers in this building? Right here, right here, right here. I always want to give credit to this place. One, because they've allowed us to be here. Secondly, because it's a historical landmark here in the city. And it's always want to give its due diligence to giving thanks for this place that is now a welcoming place for us all. So usually what I do is I ask if my friend George will come and give a speedy introduction. He's got several. Every time he does this, it's always a little different. So I think he's got like something picks out of his pocket and says, "Yeah, I'm gonna use this one." So please show your love for George and the Civil Rights Heritage Center as he shares.
Pam, thank you, old friend, as always. Thank you, everybody, those for the first time and who are here for definitely not the first, but the 10th, 20th, 100th time. It's a privilege to welcome you all. We're doing what we're doing out of the girls' changing room of the Engelman Public Natatorium, the city of South Bend's first indoor swimming pool. And they chose that word, public. Just these past couple months, I've had a couple school groups come in, one from 8th grade and then a bunch of students from 2nd grade. And we always frame it by asking them, like, I know that you know the answer to this question, right? I'm gonna ask you a question that I know you know, but what do you think that word public means? And inevitably, they all come up with some variation of the same thing, that it means open for everyone. 2nd graders figured this out. But grown adults did not. Because from 1922 through 1936, the people who ran this pool, frankly, people who look like I do, specifically and deliberately denied the meaning of that word to include all people because they denied entry to African American people for 14 years. Beginning in 1936, it started segregating by day. But 2nd graders know that word public means open to everyone, and yet they carved that word into the concrete out front. What message was that sending? What damage did that do? We are very much still living with the echoes of that damage, and there have been injustices anew every single day since then through today that we will continue to feel for a very long time to come. What we do here is take this one space and, as best as we can, reclaim this one space. Take this space that once said no to so many and figure out how to say yes. To breathe the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And in breathing those words, so too must we breathe joy. And unquestionably, spoken word, poetry, art is a part of that joy. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, Pam, every month you give us the gift of allowing joy to come into this space. So thank you for being here, thank you for gathering, and thank you all for presenting and sharing and taking this time to bask in joy. Thank you.
I always say I paid George lots of money for saying great, wonderful things about me. April is coming up. April is National Poetry Month. There's a lot going on in the city, and I think for the first time, Katie, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is I think the first time that I've seen a South Bend Poetry Festival. So there's lots of things going on in the city. I'm involved in a lot of it. Some of you here are involved in a lot of it, and those of you that come up and share poetry. If you want to share a little bit about something that you're going to be a part of, that would be awesome as well. Because there are lots of opportunities for people to be involved in poetry. And I think it's been a great outlet for many. Again, if there's anybody out there that didn't sign up, feel free to sign up out there on the sheet or wave at me and say, hey, I want to participate or whatever, and we'll make sure that you get heard this evening. Excuse me, the bathrooms are in the back. I always say that if you use the hand dryer back there, we will know when you have completed your duty back there. If you talk on the phone, you can tell that this building has, big acoustics. So if you're on the phone and you're out there, we will hear your conversation, at least what you have to say. So if you can, talk outside or something to that would be great. Also, if you can maybe minimize your phones, either turn it down or put it on silent, that would be helpful as well. The one reason I used to do these things in a coffee shop, what I found is that, like, as people are screaming, your latte is ready, it was always, competing with the poet. Excuse me. And so we wanted to create a place where people would come specifically to hear poetry, and not, you bring your little drink or whatever, but not necessarily to like socialize into the end where poets can get to know one another and collaborate. So that's kind of how this got formed. If you signed up, there's no real order. I just kind of ask that you be ready. You have 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes up here. And then at the end, we have selected a wonderful poet artist here, featured artist, for you to enjoy as well. And that's how this goes. We do an open mic, and at the end, we have a featured artist. So please stick around for that. But I will start you out with one of my pieces just to get warmed up. Also, we have a Facebook page, which is, literally, if you Google the Poetry Den, it should be one of the first things that pops up. We also have an Instagram page that says Poetry Den 2012, which is actually the year that we got started. But I will constantly post things like this and other things, especially next month. You'll probably see a lot of things come through there. So I'll start this out with truth, and this is just talking about myself. Who am I? I am creator, born from creation, breath of life, a mind of artistic imagination. Driven by passion, art of expression, I am your true craftsman. I am twisted words of truth, undocumented proof, and I give no excuse to what my pen might produce. My enthusiasm is to give you an eargasm of a whole lot of sarcasm, because it's the only time people really tell the truth. And they say the truth shall set you free, but what you fail to believe is that transparency comes with a warranty. So you'll expire quickly to lies just so you can get by. Just so you can get by on American dreams, as it seems as things you can't really afford, or furthermore save for tomorrow, having no real credit in this life unless you continue to borrow. So strapped for money that united we can't stand up for justice. So divided, we fall for anything. Is our future even promising? When was the last time you built a castle in the sand? Where are the coloring books with crayons? And when did computers take over the art of drawing freehand? And when did Facebook become my new listening friend and inserting LOL behind comments keep me from the offend? Even now, your undivided attention I commend. I am the potter on the wheel. To you, my thoughts I conceal. A beautiful mind reveal. The pen, my sword. The paper, my shield. Through poetry, I can heal. And that's that piece. I'll read this. This is something that's happening at the end of April. A gentleman named Imorja is doing his dissertation in music at the University of Notre Dame. And he had asked me to write a poem about a mother's lament. And he has commissioned a famous R&B artist and jazz individual. Her name is Lettucey. And she is actually going to be singing some of the lyrics from this poem that I wrote. And she happens to be one of my favorite, one of my favorite R&B artists. So I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting her. But a little bit of this poem is what she'll be singing along with the choir. So I'm going to read the poem in its entirety. Her heart still waits by the door. The song skips across the record. Nothing can fill this alone. A mother's nature is not to bury her own. The rehearsal is fresh in her head. Was there something she could have done or said? Might anything keep this day from actually ever happening? A continued storm. The tears that once watered the joys now fall through the cracks of the floor. The reality feels so very cold and forevermore. Blood-stained eyes become red-filled skies. Chalk outlines and yellow tape act as stop signs. Her heart still waits by the door. The song skips across the record. Nothing can fill this alone. A mother's nature is not to bury her own. Is there any biblical theory behind this mother's weary and the forever memories of a life taken prematurely? From the hands that serve and protect to human life we simply reject. The violence from indifference, a community that's not vigilant. Her heart still waits by the door. The song skips across the record. Nothing can fill this alone. A mother's nature is not to bury her own. Her arms are too short to hug. Her kisses won't be felt from above. Her child's smile resides in photos. The laughs rewind all the videos. Above, we see a crescent moon. Stand in the gap for all the wounds. Together, let us bring light to violence. We say their names and break the silence. Her heart still waits by the door. The song skips across the record. Nothing can feel this alone. A mother's nature is not to bury her own. Thank you. All right, so you guys ready to go? I am. Let's see, Katie, you want to start us out? Sure. Yeah, show some love for Katie as she comes up to the mic.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Jameson. Like Pam said, the South Bend Poetry Festival, this is our first year, it's very exciting. I'm helping doing some of the organizing and the promoting for that. So we're starting pretty small, but we're hoping to grow a lot. And so I just want to read the mission for you. And then please follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. Instagram, it's sb.anthology. On Facebook, it's just South Bend Poetry Festival, pretty easy to find, and they're cross-linking, so you'll find it, but please find it if you're interested in getting involved. So the mission for the South Bend Poetry Festival, it is a celebration of poetry and community focused on uplifting the voices of our city through a collaborative series of creative workshops, poetry readings, and literary projects. And both Pam and Dan Breen, those two are both involved, so it's pretty cool. So I have a lot of sisters. I have 2 living sisters, 1 dead sister, and 3 half-sisters. All of these poems are kind of, have something to do with my sisters. So I'll start with this little one. We lost Leah to the bookshelf. My mom refinished herself. Surely she's in there still among the books. Dust on dust, paper jackets, eager to slice veins. So that one, my sister Leah died in 2009, and her ashes are still in like the sad temporary box in the bookshelf, but also the metaphor is Leah loved to read and etc. Anyway, okay. I am holding a jar. There is a slug in it, trying to climb out. I don't have the lid. I'm at a funeral, my grandfather's funeral. This slug flew from San Francisco to Chicago with my sister. Joy doesn't know what banana slugs eat, but this one is her pet nonetheless. Sometimes it stretches out so long in green-yellow translucent layers of slime. Sometimes it's all scrunched up, limp dick slug style. And I'm singing Grandpa's favorite hymn, and I'm trying to keep the slug in the jar. Joy's in the bathroom, checking her face, making sure it hasn't slipped off, melted to the floor, and she gives the mirror a weak smile. And Grandpa is dead. And now my dad is talking about himself up on stage, about how his dad, his grandpa, told him he could do, have, be anything he wanted. And he wanted to have a happy family of four. A happy family of four happy kids, one happy wife, one happy man, and he reiterates how happy he is. And he reminds us we are not his happy family. It is his new family that has solved all of his problems because they are so happy, so angelic and non-confrontational. Well, that is until they reach about 12 years old. He may not like them then, but here's to hoping. And he writes us out of his will, but we wish he was dead anyway. Sorry about that, it's tough, sorry about that. This one I wrote maybe last week. I applied a new scalp oil today, or yesterday, sorry. My mom says it smells like a yellow air freshener, those tree-shaped ones that my sister used in high school. When one lost its scent, she'd add another on top, dangling from the rearview mirror. False vanilla and poison fill the air whenever she shakes it. That clump of car trees, a chemical forest, fresh, air-filled lungs. Memory smells like that. The tingle on my skin makes the scent stronger, pungent, and strange. Memory feels like that.
One more time for Katie, please. Thank you. She's going to be a featured artist this year too. So make sure you come back to hear her. Also, I want to let you know that through the poetry process, if you, when you snap your fingers, if you hear something good, or you're like, oh yeah, say that. Anything you want to do always helps the poet when they're up here. So feel free to do that. Clap, snap, showing your love for the poet. I'm going to go online and see if Lori is ready to read. All right. So you all show your love for Lori as she comes up on our virtual screen here.
Hello, can you hear me? Yay! Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I want to share some of my poems from my latest collection called Home. And I'm so excited that the books finally came today. That's always exciting. Yeah. Just in time for Poetry Month. So I'll read a couple. I'll read about 3 if that's okay. I'm kind of a short, my poems tend to be on the shorter side. This one is called Social Distancing. Bees, like humans, are friends from a distance, and when threatened, may sting. That is social distancing. Thanks. Okay. Oh, I just saw it in the message. The title of my book is called Home. Let's see, and this one is called Dinner Time or Duck Duck Chomp. I feel awkward watching two mallards waiting in the tiny pond while my cat Mittens scarfs down cat food flavored with essence of duck. Yeah, it was an awkward moment. And here is one called Semi-Centennial. I am now 50, so I am like in the vintage category. Basically, I'm a queen now. So semi-centennial. Time to move forward. Time to move onward. Time to leave old patterns behind. Time for keeping the progression. Time to end the isolation. Time to end unhealthy distractions. Time to give outward. Time to reflect inward, but not too much. Time to celebrate our semi-centennial. Time to take flight. You have time to read one more?
Yep.
Okay. This one's called Sweat Over Tears. Every drop of sweat that runs down my forehead after planting the garden or speed walking around the river replaces the tears that once poured out of my eyes and into the wine I used to cherish. I prefer sweat over tears. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to read. Thank you.
One more time, thank you for Lori, a longtime supporter of the Poetry Den. So I'm grateful for her and for her referring me throughout the city when she has the ability to share poets' names and stuff. She always puts my name out there, so I appreciate the support. All right, so let's see, Joe. I believe this is your first time, Joe?
Yes.
Poetry Den, please show some love for our first time.
Hi, everyone. I'm from Hobart, Indiana, which is in Lake County, but it's about an hour drive, which is about the same as it takes to get to Chicago. And one good thing, I guess, about the pandemic is, what's the matter? Oh, camera. There you go. Mhm. One good thing about the pandemic, I guess, is that it caused me to look further than I'd looked before for good poetry reading. So I'm really happy to be here. So thank you. This first one's called Grocery Girl, and it is about a one-night stand. You wore your brother's Army, Navy surplus field jacket, green and unzipped, and your younger sister's yellow tank top. You sprouted short, scraggly hair and long tanned legs that burst out of scuffed tennis shoes like swirling searchlights at a strip club's grand opening, that shone into your whitewashed denim shorts, striped gym socks scrunched around your ankles, no bra. You waited a long time to come into my home. You reconnoitered through acquaintances, sent treaties by way of counselors, gained invitation via lieutenants. You walked through my front gate, all ribboned and bowed, and I carelessly undid you. You gnawed on me for hours, greedily worked me with your canines, lustily turned me with your forepaws, and in the end, it took me 20 years to write this poem. Thanks. This one's called Clothespin. I write a lot of poems for my grandmother. She was a really, really great laundress, which I realize maybe sounds like something that you can't be great at, but she was phenomenal. She didn't even use a machine. She passed away in 2010, and she was still using a washboard. She was really great. So I've always seen the clothespin as sort of symbolic of her, simple and yet perfect. Clothespin. She never owned a dryer. 2 pieces of notched wood held together by a coil, a fulcrum that bucked the 20th century. perfect little inventions that neither Einstein nor Edison, nuclear energy nor the internet could ever improve. She carried her bucket in the backyard during summer and fall, in the basement during winter and spring. She fastened the wash to her wire lines, the laundress with her tools, the artist with her brushes. This is a new one. It's called, I had to ask, I'm a teacher at Lowell High School, and I had to ask our French teacher how to say the title of this poem because I don't speak French at all. So it's that painting by Van Gogh, the one, the bed that where he's not present. It's La Chambre à Arles. She taught me to use my hand that way to say it. It does, and it really does help. La Chambre à Arles after Van Gogh. Or just the bedroom, I guess. A towel drapes the violet wall. 2 cracked thatched chairs, apathetic next to the yellow bed. His art adorns the room, but he is absent. What if you were the art I nailed to my walls? What if I removed the Rothko print or the painting won at auction, a white tree trunk with blackened branches and a red moon? You could cameo in the bedroom at Arles. I see you under his maroon blanket, pulled just above your navel. A southern light yields to an oppressive Mediterranean mistral that blows across your body and the solitary necklace that lies on your throat. Even Van Gogh's oils couldn't have captured your essence in a Dutch museum. You'd be a sketch even by his hand, unperfected, unfinished in some second-rate gallery. Your cheekbones too delicate for his thick brushstrokes, your lips too suggestive for color, the sound of your voice beyond his tin tubes, beyond the language I render. And then I'll close with this one. This one's called The Pen. This is about the University of Pennsylvania Anthropology Museum in Philadelphia, which I visited in, I think, 2009. I was dating an anthropologist at the time, and that's kind of what this is about. The Pen. When the day camp worker didn't stop them from touching the Egyptian stela, you looked at me, appalled. The docents had all gone home for summer break. We walked through an empty pen museum, you, me, the parks worker in her late 20s, flip-flopped, blue-jeaned, and tank-topped, her 5 unruly wards in identical green shirts, East Vale Parks and Rec embossed on the front, Rawn and Castor between the shoulder blades, arched windows, pedimented doors, noble spaces. We tried our best to ignore their echoes. We traded Babylonia for Acadia, then Egypt for Mesopotamia, but they shrieked and clamored amidst the Chinese crystal and Islamic fountains. And then in the Harrison Rotunda, across from an excavated wall that Muhammad might have leaned against, perpendicular to a marble basin that Christ might have used to carry water to foot, the unbridled 5 limboed under the red velvet rope, cantered up to one of Ramses' columns and fiendishly high-fived it again and again, as if the Egyptian god had just slam dunked over ISIS on their playground. In response, the day camp worker pointed her camera and asked for the cheese. At this moment, you strode toward anthropology. In this museum of humankind, you enacted Hammurabi's law. One by one, the disciplined children trailed after their ham-fisted sitter as she skedaddled toward the stairwell. No retort had pursed her lips. It was in these moments that I loved you most. Thank you.
Joe, that was awesome. Please show some love for Joe. Thank you for making the drive.
Pam, real quick, may I just add, considering where I work, I am especially partial to museum poetry, so that made my night.
Did we talk on Facebook? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm always, when I get the opportunity to finally meet, I kind of like to see who I'm talking to, but thank you again and for bringing some support. Yeah, that was awesome. So I was reading, like, again, any of you out there or watching us online, if you want to participate tonight, just let us know. Let George know in the chat, or let me know or wave. We'll make sure you get heard tonight. A lot of times when I'm reading names that are written down, I kind of struggle a little bit because, we all have fancy handwriting, and you might not think it's fancy handwriting. But this young lady's last name is Woods, right? How do you say your first name? Arcadia? This is Arcadia. Please, your first time at the Poetry Dan? Please show some love for Arcadia.
So I'm gonna be honest, I've never did this before. I'm just hoping I can follow y'all. There's some good stuff up here. All right, so this first one actually doesn't have a title to it. I changed the name a lot, so I just won't title it. Every day I wake up feeling lonely. There's nobody that truly knows me. What they know is what they see, but how I feel, it'll never be free. Of course I have friends, I have outlets, but what can I say? My life is a mess. I really feel like my whole life has been a fight. I remember them long nights, contemplating if I was right for speaking my mind and expressing how I feel. Because when I feel disrespected, I go for the hurt, I aim for the kill. Just to show them how my type of disrespect will make them feel. My dad wanted to know why I treat him like a deadbeat, but I never said that. In fact, all I said was anything he ever said to me was cap. I want to help pay your school bill. Call me if you need me. Those the lies I thought were real. It was so deceiving. Here I am in my final semester in school, and he's still worried about himself. Not for a second, I don't think he cared about my physical, mental, or emotional health. The man be gaslighting like a motherfucker, so I'm told. I told you that back and forth stuff get old. Now you mad wondering why I don't pick up the phone, but you talk down on me as if I ain't been on my own. Bitch, I do what I'm told. In fact, you can say it, I've been in my zone. But it's the fact that I did it on my own. Staying up doing homework, yes, those nights were long. It's hard to see it, but this lonely shit made me strong. So, see, I came a long way. Shout out to my moms because she showed up for me every day. Looking back on them hard times, you always made a way. You kept your head high and stayed strong in faith. Yes, I'm the one who's graduating, but you get all the praise. Lord, I pray that I can heal. Guide me through the things that I know are not real. I pray that you can show up and tell me how you feel, because to be loved and accepted, now that sounds ideal. Lord, I'm opening up my heart for you to still. You're 22 years young. Life should be a blast. Yeah, you're right, but I'm focused on my past. Yes, I have good memories, but most of them are bad. I'm pretty sure I experienced my first heartbreak from my dad. Truth be told, he still taught me hella. He's a crafty fellow. Daddy issues are real, but to what extent? I say I have daddy issues, but I'm not sure if y'all know what I meant. Sometimes I play confused so I can get a little attention, but when I'm real life lost, everybody seems to miss it. But that's okay, because I still push you away and suppress my feelings. There's no way I'm out here looking for any type of commitment. Whole time, not even temporary fulfillment. In turn, I'm doing my own thing, really trying to focus, want to build on my own dreams. And for me, I guess it starts right here, because as I'm saying this, I'm letting go of my fears. The fear of what is unknown, but when I'm writing, that pain tends to release on its own, as if it's clearing the path to my soul. Hope I can find my way home. All right, thank you. That was scary. This one is called What is Life? The present day is June 7th, 2017. That's the day I graduated, and all I wanted to do was scream. I remember several months before my mom sitting me down questioning, KK, what's wrong? You always seem so mad, hardly even ever bothered to smile. But how could I tell my number one fan that I feel so alone and that I've been feeling this way for a while? I used to question why I was even brought into this world. It's embarrassing to say, but when I was younger, I used to wonder, was I supposed to be born a girl? Don't get me wrong, I love the skin I'm in. I just always had people telling me that I was gay before I even knew what it meant. And then on top of that, those same people was telling me that being gay is a sin. For that reason specifically, it took me a minute to tap into myself. And it wasn't until my 21st birthday that I started to realize my wealth. One, because of the amount of people that truly showed up for me in the peak of a pandemic. And then two, the ones that get all sentimental and shit. You know, like, I know y'all got them friends that show their true colors when they drink, the ones that get to speak in their mind, telling you what they really think. This here is an example. Ain't no reason for y'all to take the time and like really think though. KK, girl, I fuck with you heavy. You always been my favorite. Got my ass over here like, oh my gosh, I really hope your ass don't start to make a scene. Telling these motherfuckers what goes on between you and me. It's not that I feel like it needs to be kept a secret. I just really don't care what these bitches be thinking. The question that replays in my head, shit pops up even more it pops up even more when I make you mad. Are you happy where you are? Half the time I don't even know how to answer that. Of course, I'm happy in my home. I know I'm loved, but I still be feeling alone. That being the case, I turn my heart into stone, never showing a weakness, forever trying to look strong. Of course, you call me out when I'm bullshitting and talking out my ass, but I do that shit too, because if I don't, hell no, you don't get a pass. That line is kind of cheesy, but this is me speaking freely. I don't view my words as deceiving because everything I say, no matter what, I always mean it. You may not always understand how it's meant, and that's okay. What's important is that you take the time to try to understand anyway. Trust and believe that if the tables were flipped, I'd be all on your shit, trying to understand what it is that you really meant. You know exactly what I mean. Oh, you don't? Make that shit make sense. I got just two more I want to. Okay. I'm gonna do this short one first because I know that one. So this one's called toxicity. I am not somebody that likes to commit, so I actually be sending this poem out to people when they tell me that they got feelings for me or something. I'm like, okay, you really don't want to do that, but I like you, but I don't like you. Like I want you, but I don't want you. Like you're not mine, but you also can't be nobody else's. Because even though I can have you, I don't want you. No, you can't be happy, but you can fall in love with me. No, you can't stay the night, but you can rub my back and tell me I'm sweet. Yeah, that's my favorite one right there. All right, this last one is a little different. This one is called Look at Me. It's your attention I crave. My insides be filled with fire. When you start talking, I'm in a daze, hanging on to every word like I'm wearing a wire. But why don't you notice me? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Sometimes you only putting up with me. You never want to hear me out. I really only want one thing. Right now it's just a fantasy, something like a dream. I didn't call it a dream, for that potential is needed. You and I is like a fantasy, because us together, I can never see it. I'm laying in bed all alone, and so are you. I want to text your phone until you come through. We don't got to get physical. Whole time, I just want to tap into your mental and let you know I'm hearing you. we blend together so well, but when we fight, for me, that shit's to live in hell. We may not always see eye to eye, but for you, I always try to see the other side. You don't even know it, but you're the reason why I survive. Your energy and passion is literally what keeps me alive. I'm not saying this to scare you, just gotta be real. My trust and faith in people was broken, but you've allowed me to heal. So when I think of us departing, I really don't know how to feel. Cause I don't see how you can't notice that my love for you is real. Like for real. Are you in denial because you feel it too? Or am I just tripping and don't want to see the truth? Sometimes you act like a dummy. Yeah, I said it, but maybe I missed it. I feel like I know you love me. I feel like I know that you love me. What if you're just scared of commitment? Your feelings are mutual and you don't want to admit it. So in turn, you love me from a distance. See, I love our inside jokes. To see your face light up before you say something funny, that shit gives me hope. Did you know that when we're apart, my heart feels broke? I lay around, I moan, I mope. The night you walked through the door, popped your head in to see if I was woke, that kind of love I live for, and that's no joke. My heart could just be so full if you took the time to understand. Yeah, it's true, I'm confessing my love, but after this, I have no plan. Whole time as I'm writing this, I don't give a damn, because fuck it, I said what I said.
Can I call you KK? You don't have to like it, but you do have to like it. No, I'm just kidding. No, one more time for our KD. Thank you for showing up and showing out. I hope you come back. Yeah, okay. Deb, let's crank it up. And then Ted, if you're watching, I know you are, we'll have you come up next. But please show some love for Deb as she comes up to the mic.
I have two tonight. The first one is called The Dress. Soon I will be boarding a plane. My sister's getting married. She might even change her last name. So I want to be dressed appropriately for my sister's wedding festivities. But I have looked high and low. I've gone to every store I know, been to all the usual places, even some unusual spaces. Because dresses are tricky. They must fit just right. To make you feel pretty, cannot be too loose or too tight. And before you know it, you've become obsessed with the pursuit of finding the perfect dress. Feeling despair without any options, my besties and I went out shopping. And guess what we found while we were out? A boutique I knew virtually nothing about. And there on display was this one lovely dress. I saw it and I muttered just under my breath, I think this is it. Could it be my dress? It was different than anything else I had seen. It felt like a moment of serendipity. Yep, this was the dress for me. But when I went to pay for my prize, the price they quoted caught me by surprise. I proceeded my name to sign, assuring myself it'll work out just fine. And at first I made vain attempts to justify the amount I had spent. The cost was way more than expected, and before long, I had come to regret it. An act of my own initiation, my very own values violation. That dress I bought in an impulsive moment had morphed into an object of torment, taunting me with thoughts of how I would look so fine, up until the moment I spilled that red wine. I was losing my focus on the festive celebration with my self-absorbed dress infatuation. The seemingly perfect dress had become my nemesis. I had given this dress power and agency, and it reciprocated by haunting me, convincing me I needed it in order to look appropriate. But I came to my senses and broke free of the spell The demon I battled was actually myself. It's not about the numbers on a balance sheet. It's about the values that are important to me. I took that dress back to that little dress shop, and whether I find a new dress or not, I'll have a great time when my sis ties the knot. And the next one is actually titled Poetry. So poetry gives me the courage to speak my mind. It's a safety net woven within the rhythms and rhymes. Sharing my poetry allows me to be brave and weak, both hidden and seen. A way to step out of my timidity, find community and solidarity. Poetry transforms words into a dance, allowing me to grieve and redeem my circumstance. A conduit and avenue for painful old memories to be made new. Poetry digs deeper with each and every line, like a good therapist who keeps asking why. Poetry excavates the recesses and quarries, the hurtful parts of my personal story, shaping, reframing until my past and my present collide, bringing the sun, moon, and stars within reach so I can touch the sky. So what does one do with all this poetry and verse? What is the purpose of all of these words? But the question is backwards, my thoughts in reverse. It's not what I do with poetry, it's what the poetry does in me. Poetry gives voice to the visions in my head and helps me put my demons to rest. Poetry brings my dreams to reality and releases the hold my fears had on me. Poetry enables my prayers to take flight, reminds me there will be sunrise after the night. Poetry is an incubator, a container where recollections that irritate are given space to percolate. Once they are boiled down and distilled, I am rejuvenated and filled. A conduit and avenue for old memories to be made new. Poetry has a distinctive ability to rewire my cerebral circuitry. Poetry ignites my imagination, merges my fragmentation, and dismantles my stagnation. Poetry is my confidant, companion, and friend. Before me, behind me, with me, a gentle wind. Pushing me, pulling me, drawing me forward. A holy, sacred, gentle breeze leading me onward. But there is no known destination, no easy street, no address in sight to plant my feet. Poetry is a platform to catapult my dreams.
I love that, Deb. One more time for Deb. I think we all can like testify to what poetry has done for us. One time, I'll just share this real quickly. One time, I was asked to do a workshop, a virtual workshop, and I wanted to get some testimonies from three people that I know that have inspired me with poetry. And they all said the same thing, that poetry saved their lives. And I thought it was amazing because they didn't know who I picked, but they all said the same thing. And so it's always good to hear that again. So again, thank you. Ted, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, Ted, give it up for Ted, please.
Hello and welcome. It's a privilege to share this with you. Can you see me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear, but I don't think your video is on.
Oh, I thought you turned that on. I'll try it here and make sure I do. Technology. There we go.
Yeah, it's coming.
Ouch, that's scary. Maybe I should turn it off. Two pieces I'd like to offer this evening, but it's a privilege to be here with you. The first is called Days Gone By. And a number of you have presented your thoughts about how life experiences have impacted you. And here's a few thoughts about my life. As the days have gone by, I watch my world change, some for the better. Others make me feel shortchanged. Family farms with few fields still plowed by horse and mule. Today, carpet farms, combines, and mighty tractors rule. Small family shops with owners we knew gone forever. Box stores yell, we're better for you. We played with friends in backyards and vacant lots. Pickup games are gone. Now Little League for tiny tots. Walking to school and back with our friends. Mom's chauffeur today. Yellow buses parked end to end. Good times were spent visiting with family and friends. Now Twitter, Facebook, and social media endlessly offend. We recognize them all. No stranger ever walked past our door. Today, each in their car scurry about. No one walks anymore. If it snowed, we shoveled our walks and our neighbors too. People today refuse. That's something they just won't do. Family meals together, Sunday church, then a country drive. Now families scattered all directions, eat alone when they arrive. Evenings with family games, favorite radio shows, and popcorn. Now it's texting, more texting, TV, video games, and porn. We did sneak beers, smoke, and go to drive-ins, that den of sin. But today, it's mostly marijuana, crack cocaine, and girls teased aversion. They say it's better. Cable TV, Wi-Fi, and cell phones, it's all so good. I miss the days gone by. The young would too, if they understood. This is National Women's Month, I believe, and I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts that I have garnered over the years. Fortunately, I'm 100 miles away from you, and if I leave some of you, anyway, I'll move on here with this. This is titled Women Are. Women are adored since childhood, created to be loved, never understood. They're born to be an eternal mystery, unsolved by men throughout history. Every woman is obviously so unique, yet all possess a strong-minded streak. They often do just as they please. Men must learn to accept it with ease. That she acts as if life is a forever menopause. Most likely, it's a man that is the cause. If you can't love her when she's stressed, and you really don't deserve her best. Women are worrisome creatures, just one of their mysterious features. If something to worry about doesn't exist, then that would be put on top of their list. Never meant to be equal to men. Women are born superior, far and again. Being a woman is the most difficult trade. A man who can handle it is yet to be made. Their spirit runs as deep as the sea, calm, wild, beautiful, and free. They have the gift to create life, love a man, patience enough to be his wife. Thank you for the opportunity to share this evening with you.
Ted, thank you. Show some love for Ted. I love that last piece. Especially when we women don't even understand ourselves. And those women that have ever went through menopause or are still going through menopause. Yeah, that would be, I would say me. I'll just claim it for myself. I don't understand myself, so I don't expect anybody else to understand me. Pat. Please show some love for Pat as she comes and shares at the mic. Yes, I love hearing what the poets have to say, but I would have liked a little bit more Okay, yeah. Okay, you can do that.
Thank you. Okay. Um, I've been very upset about this whole thing with COVID and what folks have to say and what they should keep their damn mouths shut about. So I wrote a poem called Coldness. Coldness creeping across the land, creating misery in minds of depleted caretakers. Fighting an unseen enemy in hospitals, muted hostility is building towards those callous souls, spewing befuddling, bewildering stories, triggering pain and death among those listening, among those believing, clawing concern out of bone-weary caretakers, worn out by grief and pain, continuing to fight an unseen enemy, invited into bodies bowed with agony and pain, invited into bodies by those who ignored medical warnings, believing only the words of media members of their Q tribe, as many inevitably died.
That was short and sweet, Pat. So if I'm understanding you right, you'd like to have time at the end to, yeah. So a part of, you heard me do that little spiel in the beginning, welcome to the Poetry Den. The last line is, solidarity extends between poets and friends. And so that's where that part is supposed to happen. So if there's something that you heard or want to talk to the poet about, please feel free to do that. That's what this is all about, is building a community around poets. I've always said that if you're interested in doing things with me, I'm always needing to refer poets because I can't be at every event, and it can be a little draining when you're trying to do lots of things, and I don't need to do that when there's plenty of you out there that are doing a wonderful job. So anytime you are interested, I can refer you to these things. Again, the South Bend Poetry Festival is happening. I believe there's some other things that are gonna probably try to happen in the future. And Dan is always looking for poets to shine on, so he'd probably be reaching out to you, so don't be surprised. But again, Pat would like to speak with some of you, so just tackle her down and say, what do you want to talk about? But I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that we have a little bit of freedom. I know it's been a long road, and I know we're not out of this, but I think if we can practice some safety methods and continue to do some normal things like wash your hands. Yeah, I'm not sure why we're talking about that, but some people need to hear that. But again, being respectful to one another in our spaces is great, and I'm glad that I don't have to talk through a mask and steam up my glasses where I can't see. So I'm gonna call on Susan, and then Carl, if you're still with us, you'll be next. So Susan, please come on up to the mic, show your love for Miss Susan, who just had a birthday.
All right. Well, I only have one. One's enough. And it was from, I'm a caregiver, and so I've spent a lot of time just sitting and watching a lot of TV and news-related things around what's going on in the world. And so this was inspired from that. And I've called this poem Images. I see fields of bright yellow sunshine, newness. I hear laughter, singing, giggles, voices. I smell breads, spices, teas, coffees. Within moments, bombs. Within moments, screams. Within moments, cries and shrieks that pierce like knives. Hundreds of empty strollers and car seats sitting quietly. Thousands of blackened buildings with holes. Streets that are blocked and barricaded. Tanks that line up for miles. Empty eyes, shock. Where to go? Who's alive? Raw. Turn the letters, war. Can I go home? Is there a home? How do I get food and water? Where will I sleep and find safety? Fragility of life beyond comprehension, courage beyond explanation, survival beyond understanding. We've never experienced this in our country. We've never known this kind of sheer terror and destruction. We can only compare it to areas, to peoples, to times. I hear her tinny voice singing words, I've looked at life from both sides now. I really don't know life at all. Such hatred, such evil, such indiscriminate carnage. Let it forever cease. May we see fields bright yellow, sunshine, newness. May we hear laughter, singing, giggles, voices. May we smell breads, spices, teas, coffees again.
One more time for Susan. Thank you for sharing that with us. Carol. I said Carl, I think, before, didn't I? Mm-hmm. See, look at me.
Carol got the message.
Carol, still love me, okay? You can you hear me?
Am I here?
You are.
We can hear and see you loud and clear, Carol.
Well, thanks for letting me join in, and thanks, Dan, for giving me the Zoom link. And I actually attended the Poetry Den a good number of years ago, and so now I'm glad to see that you guys are back. And I live in LaPorte, so hopefully I'll be able to get over on another day. This piece is something I just found by accident, and it is similar to the theme earlier about how our words heal, and this was one of them. It's the day is done, goodbye. The day is done, darkness engulfs the pores, a Death Star grip plunges, stealth in nature. Seizing, I yield to quiet bereavement. Memories, overlooks and meadows, savoring the air and measured silence, companions embracing youthful dreams. The chime no longer strikes half and quarter. Only the hour tolls the sullen hush. Oh, to break the still. No mourning, no tears. Tolkien's twilight read, my words through Mordor, pages your armor in the insanity of war. Not all those who wander are lost. Our refuge, film, scripts, and subtitles, with characters and plots masterfully applied. We chatter, we love, veiled to looming mortality. Departed, these gems masked and buried, shoveled deep to a dark room in the heart. Promises broken, fears of tomorrow. You came in a dream, just once, a silent charge, ghosting the living, judging the decisions. Your dresser is empty. I planned not your return. I could not say goodbye, robbed by your choices. Addiction will render its own selfish retreat. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, soul scarred evermore. And I found one that kind of goes with the theme of the museum poem. It's called Dreaming of the Louvre. The vapored air, fairies and sprites of marble and alabaster singing soft glistening sonatas. This dream transporting across the waters east. Salons tell of scorched earth, abdications, and these hallowed halls ransacked and restored. Strings at pianissimo ebbing from the walls like a gentle tide. Chamber crescendos adding viola as the oboe wails a soulful cry. Hand extended, the docent presents. On a cushion of fog, we move through the hallway, striding along the notes on the staff. Nearing sacred ground, past brigades on oils, coffins of afterlife, sculpture gardens, and curiosities in hieroglyphs. Yet still a pilgrimage to one, the Renaissance woman. The chamber silences at reverence to the moment. The docent withdraws just a meter or two. A quick 360 sweep across the room, grasping the gravity of it all. Electricity darts across synapses from toe to fingertip. The gift from the master, a breathy prayer to thank the maker. Fighting through tallowed wax, damp and chilly walls, but the magic of the brush immeasurable, dear Mona. A sudden crash, shoulder shudder, that fraction of time when you resist wakefulness. But alas, the dream fades. The cup by the bed of pieces. The cat, well, there was that last drop of cream. Annotating as the images fade, wishing dreams remained. But then again, that is where we wish to return, as I was dreaming of the Louvre. Thanks.
Carol, thank you again. We look forward to seeing you back here. When you have the opportunity to join us again, we'd love to have you back. Thank you for being virtual with us. Thank you all out there that have been virtual with us. I'm gonna ask Wayne and then Valerie after that. So Wayne, please show some love for Wayne as he comes up to the mic.
This poem is in two parts. I wrote part one 2 years ago. Part two was written over 400 years ago. And so you can follow along. Part two is very short. It's only 4 lines. So when I do that, after I've read 4 lines and stopped, that's the end. Okay. Freedom and conformity. Part one, freedom. When I stop paying attention to the opinions of others, I no longer require myself to use soft words and deliberate ambiguity to get what others expect. Today, I have freedom to express espresso made with strong, dark roast beans, gulped down with neither leche nor sugar, excited, nerves stimulated, and mouth whapping with heaven knows what. I'm a free speaker. So please, don't ask me for a thoughtful response. Don't any of you dare tell me to think. For you see, at the end, I can't take any of this thinking with me. My thoughts, stories, music, memories, photos, all of them I'm going to have to leave behind when I leave. Neither can espresso accompany me. And that means that right now, today, at this very hour, I gulp, drink, consume. I wait for neither inspiration nor permission from anyone, for I have the original right of expression and the blabber talk to interrupt 1,000 mundane conversations. Flap, flap, mumble, jumble, what do you think of that? I care not whether you follow me, leave me behind, or run me out of town. Makes no difference. Understand? So now, what can happen when a man has very little to lose? When he finally has the leisure to no longer concern himself with being respectable. Part 2, Conformity. The following is a meditation by St. Thomas More, written in the Tower of London about 1534. Give me thy grace, dear Lord, to set the world at naught, to set my mind fast upon thee, and not to hang upon the blasts of men's mouths.
One more time for Wayne. Wayne, thank you so much. Look forward to having you with me in a week or so. Yep. Valerie. Hey, Valerie.
Hello.
Now show some love for Valerie, please.
Okay, thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm sad I couldn't be there in person, but I took a post Sunday lunch nap and I got a little carried away. So I'm glad that this is available online as well. So thank you, Pam, for having both options. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 poems today. And yeah, before I do the first one, I wanted to officially announce that I am a cool kid and I'm on Instagram now. So if you guys would like to follow me, it is at Valerie Poetry, and that's one word, Valerie Poetry. Yeah, so the first poem I'm going to do is inspired by my journey as an immigrant in this country. It's full of lots of high and lows, and it takes a while to get used to. I'm from a country known as Zimbabwe, which is also known as Zimbabwe, which translates to Great House of Stone or Great House of Rock. And so I took inspiration from that name. So yeah, this is Zimbabwe. But mama, how will they know I came from rock? From Pangaea's outbursts that stood up to tsunami waves. Granddaughter of magma, conceived in tectonic shifts, if you break me off your back, I become a pebble lost at sea, and how will they know I came from rock? The waves, they laugh at me, pummel me back and forth till my sharp, strong jigsaw edges molded to fit flush in the concavity I left in your side. The edges that shaped me in the story of my home are beaten and battered off me till I am smooth and undefined. Your edges are dangerous, the waves said. They will cut our fish. And so I stumble forward, afraid and ashamed that you'd barely recognize me. How will my smooth, rounded form ever fit back in your jagged side? Do you know I came from rock? From the altar that the morning light prays to as he splits the sea and the skies. A fortress, a resting place for time and age. I too would be ruler and power and infinite, unafraid of your rising tide if I had a piece of earth to sink into. But the rock stares at the pebble in envy. Oh, what I would give to be so free, she says. To lean into the ebb and flow and travel to 1,000 horizons, crashing on shores like the waves do. On and on goes the debate between humility and sacrifice. For the rock has lost parts of herself that the pebble might find life. But am I destined to limp in gratitude? Find my future in the aimlessness and call it freedom. Knowing that the children I will one day break off my own back will be just grains of sand strewn across foreign beaches in total ignorance, never truly knowing the history and reason and beauty in their coarseness, wearing their own gentle, jagged edges in ways I never had the courage to. Each gentle, jagged edge, a whisper from my mother, living her dream, yet sadly unaware that they too came from rock. Thank you. And this second one, Pam says to plug ourselves, I have the pleasure of performing at an event called Artwords in about 2 weeks on April 9th at the Knight Museum at the University of Notre Dame. And so this is one of the poems I'm thinking of doing. I'm not sure yet, but I think I still have to work on it. But I was like, what the heck? This is a safe space. I might as well just do it right now, right here. Why not? So yeah, this is called The Pen is Greater. Okay. My paper bears scars that never made it to my wrists. The battle scars from life's unjust wars, pages and pages of minefields and mass graves on their surface. Thank you for your service. Freedom and joy are a privilege I afford each day because my pain is left here on paper. My pen is a dragon, a force of unrivaled prowess and mystery guarding the treasures of gold my mind holds from each dark day that would try to pillage it. My pen holds the keys to the pearly gates, sees beyond to the heavens, dances with my loved ones, a foot straddling either world. Even death himself can only stare defiantly as my pen fearlessly etches on teardrop-stained paper and kisses them back to life. And when laughter becomes too heavy, when joy is too sweet and makes my stomach turn, when my saint-like prayers turn to desperate mumbles, heaven traces the embossed outline of the pressed scribbles on my paper and receives the incense that diffuses from my ink. Or when love fails to define herself through my body. Though my actions might not yet be fluent in her language, she will make my hand a conduit, driving it to form letters and rhymes to those she longs to reach. My last breath will be through this pen. And though I may be at peace, I will not be at rest, for my words will still be forging their way through the earth on this paper. As long as someone will hear them, as long as someone can read, I will live on. Thank you all.
Woo, Valerie, one more time. As she stated, Artwords is a new, it's probably a couple years old, but the Snipe Museum asked to collaborate with the Poetry Den, and they, in the spring and in the fall, we do, this thing is called Artwords in the museum, and I bring 2 community people, and then we have a student on campus that will invite 2 students to read, and so again, like I said, I'm always looking for people. Wayne is gonna join me, Valerie's gonna join me this time, If I'm not using people for that, I'm asking people to be featured artists. So there's all kinds of things that are happening in the city. I know that Dan will also be sharing about what's happening in April as well. And I forgot my phone. Right. DJ, host, you know. Oh, let's see. You guys ready for your featured artist tonight? Sorry I don't have any coffee to pump into you, but I think he'll keep you definitely intrigued and involved. So, Dan Breen is our featured artist for the night. He has been writing poetry on a regular basis for 5 years now. Dan loves a good story and tries to build a story in his poems. He builds his poetic ideals like a scrap quilt, pulling ideals from whatever is metaphorically laying about him. Dan Breen is the owner and editor of Pan Story and Art Michiana. Panoply is an online digital art magazine featuring Michiana artists and writers. The magazine began publishing in 2019. Panoply publishes short stories, essays, and poems. They publish quarterly and have thousands of readers. They are always seeking submission. I met Dan. He came to the Poetry Den, and we did a 12-hour poetry thing in April, a couple years ago. So it was 12 hours here. People came and went, but it was great. And Dan was I'll always remember this. He was always really instrumental in supplying some snacks for people, some little sandwiches and things. And so we really, really appreciated that, as well as his participation in sharing his poetry as well. So I've kind of watched him do this panoply, and at the bottom, like we always do, we're always like scraping, and he would always be like, "Hey, do you know this person? Hey, do you know this person?" I'm like, "Is this Dan again?" But I remember what it was like to start and try to connect with a lot of poets. And Dan has he's got more followers than I am when I was starting. So he's doing a great job. He's connected with a lot of people. If you want to connect with him, he loves to promote people just as I do. And so I think that's awesome. It's awesome what he's doing. He's also, if you're an artist, he also promotes people that are, that have visual talents as well as spoken word, but he'll share more of that with you. If you would please, even you that are watching, please give a really big round of applause for Dan.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for everybody who is online watching. I love the online ability of this because you can take a nap and then wake up and be like, "Yeah, I'm there." Or you can stay home and cook dinner, which I sometimes do. And I still get to be here and eat too. It's fun. Thank you, Pam. I really appreciate you allowing me to read tonight. It's quite an honor. I want to thank the group of poets that are here and who have read over time. I was kind of at a dry spot in writing, and I thought I got nothing. And then I was listening to people read, and it came back. So I was really happy with that. Yay! Thank you. I do publish Panoply Story Art Michiana. Katie has recently begun to help me, and this is our postcard. There are some of these at the front door. If you ever want to submit or to learn more about Panoply, there is a submission link on the website, or you can contact me at panoplymichiana@gmail.com. I am always looking for poets and writers. We publish artists. We have a pretty good reading throughout Michiana. So I'm going to plug stuff up front. And then this is also at the front door. Panoply was asked to be part of the South Bend Poetry Festival. And I'll begin posting this on our Facebook page and such tomorrow. But on April 14th at Merriman's Playhouse, we will have a pop-up poetry book sale and poetry reading. We have 11 poets reading, including Laura Katsky-Siggety. Pam is going to read a little bit, and a bunch of other people that are on here. Oh, Carol Estes is going to be there too. So really glad that to hear her read tonight. It was a lot of fun. So thank you for coming. I'm going to watch my watch a little bit so that I don't go over. I practiced a little bit today and time myself so that I didn't go too far. So one, thank you to my wife. She's really wonderful. She's Teresa, and she's really quite an inspiration, and she's very supportive and wonderful. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I was in a job and we didn't like that job. It really took away from life. And 5 or 6 years ago, we got out of that job and got into a new job, and it really allowed me to see a different side of myself and to express different things. So the poems go a little bit in order from when I got out of that job up until about now. So here we go. This is called Dreaming While Chasing the Giant Moon. When I am so much older, when time sits by my side, unlike I, her current owner, to gossips, friends confide. A sugar jar of memories I'll mix into my tea, excavating archaeologists' youthful indulgency. Robin feathers, Tonka trucks, flying wheels, buried brittle bone treasure deep, pirates fancy free. Breakfast once a week with walrus, owl, and eel, Barbary holes poke in fabric impenetrable. Jauntily out to circus, silly laughing seals, climb the sky proudly, soaring golden eagles. I'll whittle me some fiddlesticks, teach my cat to saw a bow, the dogs to dance a 5-skirt jig. To a square dance we will go. Set my sails along silver strings, unmoor the moon from gravity ends. Listen to the coral rings, climb rainbows' purple bends. On ghastly fog lay low in danger places, opaque threads yarnly spin, pond bob and wheel. Weave a prayer shawl of splendor graces, rejoice, life, pilgrim, prostrate kneel. When well-worn, adventuresome bones carry me no further, I'll raise a cross and shield to infallible perdition. All around me I call, those I love gather, fight like hell for one final jubilation. This is called Nostalgia for Broken Glass and kind of is in this time frame. Customize a time, somewhere, 9, 10, 11, umbilical cord, apron string, cousin, friend, brother, older, just trusted experience. Careful, stay to the edge. Dusty country road, car, mob, move right. Truth cannot be fudged. Mesmerize, impetus, brown glass shatter, foreign language label, half glints across jagged, volcanic yellow line, crusty, dusty brine. Car, boom, a rank conformity. 16, 17, old enough to know better, immature enough to ignore. Best friends, humidity's sanctuary, T-tops thrown open, wind gulping freedom, taste cold for the first time like a snowball in the face, swiped from Big Brother's stash at the back of the fridge. A long stretch somewhere south, Zeppelin thunder ringing, 2 shit-eaten grins, Little King's green arcs whistle, silence at 60 miles per hour, smashing glass exceeds glory, shouting whoop. Young men in America, you dream her in desire, click, the party, infiltration. Someone known just on the rise, slip in, vagabond, carpet bagged, cool lights, all else masked. Shadow extends ether, apparition arise, divinity a smile. Hera looks at you, a shadow you are. Nobody yelled. Car. Thank you. Then came, there was other things written in between, but then came the pandemic. And so this is a pandemic poem when it first began. Standing around at work, waiting for people to come in or go, and had a lot of time to think. So we are mesmerized by the glint of fear, infantile battling at the mobile of another suffering reality, sucking from the teat of our comfortable history. Brother, how long your road? Did I offer you my hand? Was I there beside you when you thirst for justice, a strange fruit crushed upon the street? Is my voice among you, or do I hold my tongue reverent in history? She vaulted over our conversation, late March, with an unsolicited opinion. It's our new normal, I think. We have learned a valuable lesson. It appears to me in this moment, we are standing still in midair, a jumbo jet suspended, the vector descending, intersecting my vertexual trajectory, an illusion of objects frozen in the sky. Certainly, she said, we are grappling, all put in our corners, the plague fallen upon us, a scripture to open our ears. Mud washed into the eyes of the blind. We surely learn how to see. What did we learn of courage? June 5th, 1989. A single man versus a column of tanks while thousands died in the streets? She said it was so far away, so long ago. It was certainly out of our hands. We did do something to save them. How do we master sorrow? Pulse, El Paso, Dayton, Las Vegas. God save the children, Sandy Hook, Columbine. What measures to leverage loss with so many innocents gone? I put a post on Facebook, hashtag I screamed out on Twitter. I let them know my rage. I did what I could. Her eyes burned red convictions. What was our yield from Fukushima Godzilla? The claws of its nuclear waves ripping apart the foundations of homes, laying bare the lives of 18,500 in one day? You cannot lay that on our shore. Jets and towers, what do they carry to the future? Do you remember the promises you made? What secrets do we tell our children told by men who cannot breathe? Or forest and homes ablaze? From all these things we fail to learn. And you think after the urinal, men will start washing their hands? Thank you. This is from my wife. Allow me to be your disciple. Let my faith be a fever, a belief never again to be cooled by the hands of dangerous demons. Let me believe without placing my fingers inside the wounds of misgiving. I want to wear our love as a golden vestment of a priest whose passionate prayer rejoiced and rejoined by joyful thronging voices of thousands raising songs of glory and praise. I want to wear our love like the mantle of a queen, expressing fidelity and kissing the hem of our sacred union, past and present. I want other lovers to catcall as we saunter in a silky number, turning heads in slick black stilettos. I want to wear our love all the days of our lives. And when we get holes from neglect or from trying too hard or not hard enough, I want to patch it up with forgiveness from what we have learned. Make it whole again, even more in its adding. When we are very old, needing warmth in our chilled bones, I will cover us in a quilt of memory. The squares of joy shall remind us of laughter and days on beaches and children and summer and so much more and so much more. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead some. I'll read Grace, and then I'll skip one. This is called Grace. A lot of my poems aren't named because I lack imagination, I guess. Grace lives between calm and the trials, our ability to reply in peace. When we are ashes, phoenix forming, crossroads still a twinkling star, hearts wanting to be coal. We press on and form ourselves to diamonds, found in our chest born, arms flung wide to the barrage of arrows, humility of our chromium breastplate deflecting Paris's deadly projectile. My mother found grace, knee bent upon pew, the word of God flowing through her soul, her cup overflows. Okay, so these are recent. This is actually written in the last few months, and this was written for a friend had posted something on Facebook, and it just struck me. So that's kind of how pieces come together for me. I'll see something, and then things start to come together. I would not have known the value of me. My days would have trudged forward, disoriented in orbit. My understanding of me was eclipsed by the fear of, who might I? I thought we were bound together by the gravity of our passion. I thought our orbit in unison. I retrograde, your internal knowing force moving you faster, more sure, leaving. What was life before the day I kissed you? It seems hidden. A ninth planet invisible, a shell opaque obscurity. How was I to know? By meeting you, all my questions would somehow be answered. Answers falling into place, a balanced terrapin feeding past, present, and future me. And a friend whose mother passed away, and she asked people to send cards to her mother. But she was very sick, and she asked people to send cards to her mother. So I sent this to her mother. The Needle Eye. How blessed are we, called to the care of the ones we love. Love the path by which camels are mystically transported through the needle eye. How heavy the wealth, now scales tilted by the weight of selfish pursuits. An ounce of your love, golden, tips the beams, more than adequate payment in the kingdom to come. Thank you. So John Homan lives in Elkhart. He runs the open mic in Elkhart. A little while ago, I engaged him in a poetry conversation, and he wrote something, and then I responded back. We were supposed to have 7 days to respond, but it ended up sometimes being like within 24 hours, we would have a response back. This is one of those poems. It's called Marlboro Man. He rose above the horizon of our cool, a cutout aspiration, viral possibility, giant, tan, strong. He lives stories we could never presume in our cutoffs and ratty tees, Spider-Man clutched in sweaty palms, rattling along in rusty VWs and Pacers, a hero among the clouds. The moon his pillow, a wild heart dream, the tilt of his 10-gallon hat, his laser eyes challenged the sun. This is my new second favorite. Yeah, so this is, I hope this turns out. I read it twice. I read it twice now. Once over in Elkhart and then once to my family. But so this took me about a month to write. So it's longer, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So good luck. This is called Another Season of Heartbreak, the Economy of Blood and Bone. The Shadow King is a gentle and compassionate justice. He sharpens his cleaver on the strop of pride, the razor edge glistening, grinding the whetstone of spite. Not all love is equal. Not all hearts find first love. Sometimes fate goes foul. Hearts who hoped, made for one, must be rendered separate. The Shadow King cuts through tendon and bone, separates vertebrae from nerve, hangs the carcass to bleed on the floor of the divine. The lovers cared for themselves. They set their ego above the love of another. Their care, dedication, the commitment to self makes their sacrifice all that much more appreciated. When love has gone too long, festered in a lie, only the slightest tug for joint to fall from bone. Such the economy of blood and bone, blood and bone, blood and bone. Our ruler comes from love, history filled with starry passion, fidelity fired in the devotional kilns. He is not the ruler of barren dreams. He is the flagstaff of new beginnings, the arbitrator of delusions. His goal is not to cause pain. He merely divines the oblivion path. Expert care carves the fat from truth. Sooner the natural progression, the blood and bone would learn to heal and cure. Blood and bone, heal and cure. Blood and bone, heal and cure. Can you not see the early demise and the end will cause less pain? Why should they wait until the heart is destroyed? Cancer, cruel, eating away at the center. The Shadow King does not seek all loves. He is not a monster. He is the herald of the future, the key to releasing shackles. He returns sinew and cartilage to the compost pile of pain. The worms of loss mourn forlorn, poking holes in the inky tripe of grief until the bones stand again. Empowered by will and need, a new life breathes, announcing, I am here. A stronger body bag of self, the pall grows thin, iridescent, light dissolves dark until again, love seems real, tangible. Walk in the legacy of possibility, and so to live as blood and bone, blood and bone, blood and bone. Thank you. This is called resolution. Condensation on the window of life, where we draw hearts and smiles with the tips of our fingers, pointing the direction of our desires. Images dripping and smearing in the fragility of perspiring atmosphere. Teary and fading, we wipe them clear, shaking our heads at our own silliness. We find comfort in the sticky, knowing of our sins. We are out of emotional shape. We cling to the intimacy of yesterday. Promise we will take it up tomorrow. Morning finds us loving the warmth and comfort, nestling. It is so hard to leave us behind. Winter. This too is my garden. We must pass through the seasons. This phase, barren vines and hollow gourds, seeds spent upon the frozen ground. Pause to wonder at the red unpicked rose in fine white snowcap. Let us stop and rest, despite the chill, wrap our warmth closer, hats pulled down upon our ears in this unwilling plot. Brown, dry, scattered leaves blow to the edge of the yard. We will gather the remains in spring, toss them into the bin, clear the weeds that took advantage of our careless inattention, and begin again. The forest does not ask. I'm sorry, let me say that these two poems are part, I've never tried to write on one subject for a lengthy period of time or for like an overextension period. So I wrote 12 poems about gardening, and these are two. This is the second one. The forest does not ask. The sapling's shadow keeps time upon the snow. The owl does not call out my name to know. The stream rushes on below ice-stained glass. The sparrow sings her song without a care I may pass. The winds blow a harmony, the creaking tree a metronome, the eagle with her watching eye keeps order in the meadowlands. These paths I walk 100 times, I know each route and casualty. Here among the towering trees, my mind, empty, seeks tranquility. I've seen it all before, the stone, the path, dapple reverently. Each time I take to the woods, a revelation appears to me. I'm reading this one. This is my last one. So I'm reading this one because it's Teresa's favorite that I've written. And so this is kind of to finish up for her. It's about our cats. Our home, lived in, clutter has a corner. We are clean, just so you know, up front. Recently, a fly adopted our house. Yes, I know how to kill a fly. Well practiced in multiple methods of flyocide, sprays, swats, sticky things. But hey, everybody has a job and should hold up their end. 3 cats keep company in our home. I feel they own the responsibility to catch all errant flies. Our cats are not lazy, duty-bound to knock over vases, random glasses of water. The youngest and most incorrigible carries off my wife's paintbrushes, chases madly after her shadows, and tumbles upon her tail. My dear feline intimates, our demands are meager. We do not request you dust the mantle, subject you to clearing the dinner dishes, assign you shoveling the snow at 6 a.m. I fill your dishes with food, ensure adequate hydration. You perceive your obligation meets a crescendo at lounging. Unconditional love and cuddles, paid in advance. Heads up, minor nuisance elimination assigned to you. Get to work. Thank you. And I'll make one more plug for Panoply. You can find us at panoplymichiana.com if you're not here. And thank you very much. Thank you, Pam.
Many of you probably heard me pronounce that wrong and say panoply, and it's supposed to be panoply. Charge it to my head and not my heart. Please give Dan another round of applause. Thank all of you for being here this evening. Those that come an hour away, appreciate you making the drive in the cold. Hopefully it'll be warmer the next time you join us. For those that are watching online, for all of you that shared tonight, those that you're gonna share next time, yeah, you thought I forgot, I ain't forgot. I don't forget these things, ask Debbie. But next month, lots of poetry events happening. I'm gonna try to make sure that I share them on our Facebook page and in our Instagram. George has, if you get connected to the Civil Rights Heritage Center, their website or their Facebook page, they also post tonight's event. And most times, not all the time, I'm not sure why, but most times I share it on our page as well, so you can watch it if you've missed it. But we'll be back here again on the 4th Sunday, which is April 24th. We'll be back here with another featured artist. Please come back and share. We'd love to have you. Yeah, and on the table out there, there's poetry and pens. There's like little bracelets. We have shirts. I'm looking for something else. I'm trying to get this in your brain. This is 10 years going on, and I'm still like, yes, my 10-year baby, you know. So again, we're always trying to find ways to continue to promote. What I love about this place is that we get so many people that kind of just come and go and come back and come and go. And I'm glad that they remember, I'm glad that they share their words here. And this is supposed to be a welcoming place, just as the Civil Rights Heritage Center has made it that. So as Pat requested, connect with one another, say, hey, I like what you had to say. Yeah, solidarity in between all of us. So thank you again for being here. See you next month. Hopefully I'll see you in the community at some of these events. Be safe, and be good.